ABC 10 News at 5 starts right now.
As the nation comes to terms with the violent siege on the U.S. Capitol, Democrats in Congress are laying out plans for lighting fast impeachment of President Trump. We're going to break down the critical steps they plan to take here in the coming days.
Plus, the action just taken against the property owner and organizer of a local New Year's Eve party where a makeshift balcony collapsed. It injured several people.
And the plans that local hospitals are creating in case they run out of space and resources to treat COVID-19 patients.
ABC 10 News at 5 starts now.
Momentum is quickly building to impeach President Trump again, just days after a deadly riot at the U.S. Capitol. Good evening. I'm Kimberly Hunt.
And I'm Steve Atkinson. Lindsay Pena has the night off tonight. House Democrats say they are planning to introduce an impeachment resolution as early as Monday if the president doesn't resign. The latest draft includes one article of impeachment for incitement of insurrection, saying that the president gravely endangered the security of the nation and betrayed his trust as president. Today's development comes after the president called on thousands of his supporters Wednesday to march to the Capitol and overturn the election results. They clashed with law enforcement and breached barriers. A Capitol police officer and a woman from San Diego died, and more than 50 people were arrested for their roles in the riots.
ABC 10 News reporter Jennifer De La Cruz explains the next steps for Congress as House Democrats try to fast-track the impeachment process.
Plans are in motion for the second impeachment of President Donald Trump. Democrats will be filing articles on Monday. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi calling the president unhinged, adding it's imperative the commander-in-chief be stripped of his access to nuclear codes. Other lawmakers saying he's a threat to national security and could wage serious damage on his way out. If the president is impeached by the House and convicted by the Senate, it may prevent him from holding any public office again. He would be the only president to be impeached twice. When asked about the move to impeach, President-elect Biden said he's leaving that decision up to Congress. A draft of the impeachment resolution charges Trump with abuse of power, saying he willfully made statements that encouraged and foreseeably resulted in imminent lawless action at the Capitol. Alaska Senator Lisa Murkowski is the first GOP senator calling on President Trump to resign, saying, quote, I want him out. He has caused enough damage. Other GOP leaders argue impeachment this late in the president's term would only divide the country even further. A vote by the House may come as soon as Wednesday. Jennifer De La Cruz, ABC 10 News.
And ABC 10 News has reached out to our local representatives for their reaction to impeachment. We will have that story coming up at 7 o'clock. President Trump is now permanently banned from Twitter. This is what you will see if you try to get to his page. Twitter says that it warned President Trump during his brief suspension Wednesday that further incitement of violence would be grounds for permanent suspension. The company says that Trump tweets from today continued to incite audiences by casting doubt on the election results. It also says the president's tweets are being taken by his supporters as calls to action, including for possible violence at Joe Biden's inauguration. President Trump has often accused the large social media companies of being biased against him.
Flags are now flying at half-staff at the Capitol in honor of that Capitol police officer who was killed during the riot. ABC's Andrew Dimbert is in Washington with the very latest.
Tonight, the nation is mourning slain Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick, who died from injuries sustained during Wednesday's violent attack on the Capitol by supporters of President Trump. The president has not acknowledged Officer Sicknick's death, but the White House releasing a statement which says in part, any time a member of law enforcement dies in the line of duty, it is a solemn reminder to us all that they run toward danger to maintain peace. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi ordered flags at the U.S. Capitol be flown at half-staff in Sicknick's honor. After the colossal failure by law enforcement to secure the Capitol, the House and Senate Sergeant-at-Arms resigned. Capitol Police Chief Stephen Sund says he will also step down. Some of the outrage leading to the resignations is in regard to how law enforcement allowed thousands of perpetrators who broke into the halls of Congress to just walk away rather than arresting them. Efforts are now underway to identify and arrest those who participated in the insurrection. But this man who put his boots up on Speaker Nancy Pelosi's desk has now been arrested. And after whipping up the angry mob and directing them to march on the Capitol, in a new video, President Trump now condemning them.
Like all Americans, I am outraged by the violence lawlessness, and mayhem.
But a growing number of lawmakers are blaming Trump for inciting the attack on an equal branch of the U.S. government. Efforts to immediately remove him from office are gaining steam.
This is urgent. This is emergency of the highest magnitude.
The Pentagon even confirming that they have discussed the security of America's nuclear weapons with Speaker Pelosi. A growing number of Republicans now suggesting they are more open to impeaching Trump. Senator Ben Sasse from Nebraska telling CBS,
I believe the president has disregarded his oath of office.
The outgoing president confirming what many have suspected for months, tweeting, I will not be going to the inauguration on January 20th.
One of the few things he and I have ever agreed on. It's a good thing I'm not showing up.
If Trump stays true to his word, he'll be just the fourth outgoing president not to attend his successor's inauguration. The last president to skip the ceremonial symbol of democracy, President Andrew Johnson, some 152 years ago. Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, Washington. Education
Secretary Betsy DeVos is the second member of President Trump's cabinet now to quit in the wake of the cabinet attack. DeVos called the president's incitement of the crowd the inflection point in her decision. Multiple reports indicate that White House counsel Pat Cipollone is also considering resigning. Close Trump family advisor Hope Hicks says that she is leaving next week, but says her departure is because of scheduling and not as a result of the events at the Capitol. The man photographed sitting at House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's desk during the Capitol riot is now under arrest. That's Richard Barnett of Arkansas. As you can see, he put his feet up on the desk and was later seen outside on the Capitol steps with a piece of Pelosi's mail. He then did this interview.
So I figured, well, I'm in her office, I got blood in her office, I'll put a quarter on her desk, even though she's worth it, and I left her a note on her desk.
Federal officials say that Barnett faces multiple charges, including violent entry on Capitol grounds and theft of public property. You can stay on top of any new developments in the Capitol with the 10 News app. A free version is available in the App Store.
The San Diego city attorney is going after the landlord and the organizer of a New Year's Eve rave in Miramar, which ended in a stage collapse and several injuries. As ABC 10 News reporter Michael Chen tells us, the party organizer allegedly hosted numerous illegal events during the pandemic.
This was the aftermath of the New Year's Eve rave inside a Miramar warehouse. Liquor bottles and cups scattered everywhere. And 3 people hurt after a makeshift stage collapsed. Hundreds attending a party that was held in violation of public health orders. The city attorney's office now filing a civil complaint against property owner Bradley Murray and party organizer Charles Smith of Syndicate Entertainment Group. Among the allegations, a lack of permits and numerous code violations, including a lack of fire exits and a poorly constructed stage. The complaint alleges the site has hosted numerous illegal events during the pandemic, including concerts and wrestling matches, all of them streamed online. In a statement, City Attorney Mara Elliott says our office took swift action to hold them accountable and let the public know that the City of San Diego will not tolerate conduct that imperils the health and safety of San Diegans. Elliott is seeking fines described as significant, along with a temporary restraining order and permanent injunction for future events. On an Instagram page identified as Syndicate Entertainment Group, this message posted a week ago. With a heavy heart, I'm making the decision to permanently close business indefinitely. Michael Chen, ABC 10 News.
We reached out to Syndicate Entertainment. We've not yet heard back. One of the allegations in the complaint is unfair competition, running a business in violation of health orders while others are shut down.
This morning, Governor Gavin Newsom presented his $227 billion budget proposal for the year. It includes the largest education budget the state has ever seen. But as our ABC 10 News reporter Rena Cano explains, the money may not directly help every student in the state.
An unprecedented education budget for an unprecedented year of challenges and recovery.
$85.8 billion, the highest investment per pupil that the state has ever ever advanced.
Of that $2 billion will go towards immediate action to accelerate and incentivize schools to return to in-person instruction starting in February.
That will make a difference for some schools.
Troy Flint with the California School Boards Association says while that may help more affluent communities or areas where the virus is under control, that money will not go to schools where the infection rate is so high they cannot reopen.
In areas where people are more skeptical that students will be safe in the spring, where there may be more challenges in the home or in the communities, and where the districts may not have as much capacity in terms of staffing, this may not be the solution.
Wednesday, superintendents of 7 of the largest public school districts, including Cindy Martin of San Diego Unified, wrote a letter to the governor addressing this inequity issue. The governor's current proposal includes $4.6 billion to address learning loss, particularly to help low-income students.
Whether it is going to be sufficient for some of the districts that have greater challenges, like many of our urban districts, remains to be seen.
Newsom says he has a meeting scheduled with the superintendents on Monday. Flint hopes that meeting will produce some more clarity in the language of the budget.
Are there going to be uniform state standards? If not, is there going to be more support to meet the specific demands of local communities?
Rena Nakano, ABC 10 News.
And lawmakers will have until June 15th to pass the budget in the state legislature.
A fire gutted the garage of a Bostonia home and killed hundreds of snakes. The blaze started about 5:45 this morning at a home on Pepper Hill Drive. Crews arrived to find flames coming out of the garage. One person was inside the home when the fire started, but was startled awake by one of the dogs barking and got out safely. Firefighters say 100 snakes were killed in the garage fire. The San Diego Humane Society also rescued a 10-foot snake, 2 tortoises, and several rats.